Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here for the video. Today in this video, I'm going to go over this property that we see here. It's a multifamily that's on the market for 7 days. It's going to do for me what it'd be a high-level overview of the potential of this property. And we have a 12-unit brick complex in Lexington, North Carolina, which is about 40 minutes from me. I did a renovation, a flip in Lexington, so I'm familiar with that city. We're just going to start here, high level. We're not going to get deep. We're just going to get an idea if it's something that we want to dig a little deeper on and do more research on. Let's start with looking at some pictures just to assess the exterior condition. It's moving a little slow here. It's great. Wow. Definitely looks dated. Like to acquire properties where I can do a value add, increase the value. Preferably if I can raise rents and then lower expenses without really doing anything work-wise is even better. Some places could be under market rents, below market rents, and you can raise rents without doing anything, depending on what the rents currently are. And then you can lower expenses if you have, let's say, contract for trash, or contract for other services for your property. You can renegotiate those and get expenses lower as well. So you can create that, and that'll create value. So let's keep going here. Like I said, it needs some curb appeal, for sure. Definitely. So I would definitely paint the place, stairs, and see what can be done, because they don't look good either. So that could be replacing them or painting them or fixing them. It just depends. Get a closer look. Let's just keep going. I would definitely clear out these bushes. I would cut these down so you can see the place. I would just say my goal would be to improve the curb appeal significantly. That goes a long way, just improving the curb appeal. I love it has a metal roof. I'm not going to be concerned about that. I would trim these bushes back. Once again, back to curb appeal. So I would have those trimmed back. We got, I'm looking for, they said 12 units. I don't see 12 meter boxes. I want the property to be individually metered so the tenants pay the utilities. That's a little concern. They need to verify if it's got 12 meters. How many apartments was in this building? They said 12 units, but it's a little slow loading. Sorry about the slow loading. This answers the question here. We got 2 buildings, so it must be a 6 and 6. That explains why there were so few meters on the back of the building and so few HVACs. This consists of 2 buildings, a 6 and a 6. So that explains that. I'd love to check it out in person to see what the drive-in is, the condition of these properties around. From a distance, they seem they're decent, but that's important as well. The surroundings of the property. I'll look at that. Made some bad purchases in the past, and always that's a big factor for me, how things look around the property. I consider. Let's go back to the listing and see if we can get some more information. It's alert. Oh boy, I'm seeing a red flag now. 1-1. I do not want ones. They're just more difficult to rent. I'm not a big fan of them because they're just harder to rent. Family, couples and individuals do, but you want more options for renters, and 1-1s are just not ideal, but we'll keep going. Some fresh paint, leasing, 100% capacity, average was 825, so we got to remember that 825 is rent. 825, we got 12 units. What is that? Let's calculate. Is that 9,900? 9,900, so we'll need to know that to get some rough numbers, because remember, this is high level. We're not going in depth. We're just doing a high level. Let's see what else we got here in the description. Owner only covers trash and landscaping. That's another contract to negotiate and get expenses down, landscaping. And then I'd love to get the rent roll to find out the consistency of the renters, who's behind, who owes what, so we can see how collecting rent is with these tenants, and then who's behind on the rent. So I'd like to know how many people are behind on their rent as well. So that's good information. So I'd love to get that rent roll, and I would love to have. I have a realtor friendly investor that I work with, and then I'll have my realtor contact their realtor, because if I contact the realtor who is looks like Landon Stone, yeah, I'm gonna get some information, and I'm more likely I'll get the rent roll too, no problem. But if my realtor calls, they tend to give them more information, and they tend to ask things different and know things to ask that I may not ask. So I like my realtor to call, because they tend to give me more information than I would get. So that's me. I personally, my realtor calling to that realtor, they tend to get more information than I would get if I called. So that's just something I like to do. So let's take this information. We got 825 rent. We know there's 12 units. The 825 times 12 is 9,900. So we know what the gross monthly rent or income is. So we're going to go over to, I like to use Bigger Pockets, and we're going to do an analysis on this, a high level analysis, because there was no interior picture, so we don't know anything about rehab, condition of the interior. So we're just, this is definitely going to be high level based off that, not having all the interior information due to it being occupied. So I understand why there's no pictures. So we're going to start a new report. This is Bigger Pockets Pro. So to get the, I believe you have to be a pro member to get the analysis tools. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you have to be a Bigger Pockets member pro to get these analysis tools. Just taking the address and putting in the address. Lexington, yep. So next purchase, price was $850,000. Okay, closing costs. I typically, for my area, that's Davidson County, it's a different county, but I typically use 1.5%. So that's going to be roughly 1,500 for every 100,000. So that's 12,750. Don't know the interior. It could need it, but we don't know based off not having the additional information or pictures. So moving on, 20% typical DSCR loan down payment. Interest rate, I feel good with 7.25 using that. I have property now that I just did DSCR loan quotes on, and I was quoted between 7.25 and 7.70, 7.7. So I feel that's a good number I can get. Points, I'm gonna go high. I like to be conservative on these estimations, so I'm gonna go 3, even though I think I can get less than that. Long term, 30 years. There are 40-year terms, but I found that last 10 years, that 30 to 40-year period of a 40 year is typically interest only, but I find that the payments typically are not any cheaper. You would think they would be, but I have not found them to be any cheaper when you do 40-year term sheets. You know, the gross monthly income is the 825 that they gave us in the description, times 12 units, which is $9,900. So we're just going to plug that in, and next we're going to go to expenses. Property taxes, I'll get that from the listing itself, $411. So we're going to take that $411, and that's monthly. And then we need insurance now, free. So now we're going to plug that in, $283, and that's monthly. All right, stuff's going to break. People are not going to be there. You're going to have vacancies. People, when it's not rented, you're going to have maintenance issues. Things are going to wear out. You're going to have to repair stuff that breaks. You're going to have to replace stuff that's going to eventually break down, and you're going to have to replace it. So you need to hold money aside for that. For these, I just use a standard 8% for all 3. This could vary. Some people go higher, some people go lower, but I use 8% in my calculations when I'm doing an assessment like this. I use 8%. Management fees. They told us that the landlord only pays the trash in the landscaping. I couldn't think of it. Landscaping. So we're going to estimate trash at $150 a month. Those two bills, $75 a building. I'm not sure. Let's make it higher. We got 12 units. Let's make it $250. And then landscaping. I can't remember how big property was. How big? They're not giving square footage there. Interior. Show more. Lot size, so 1.87 acres. So I'm going to estimate $300 a month. That might be a little low, but we'll stick with $300 a month. And the tenant will pay the remaining things. But management fees, do you want to manage this yourself, or do you want to have a management company? We're going to act like a management company is going to do it. They typically are going to charge, for the most part, 10%. So we're going to put 10 here. So they're going to get $990 a month. Our 900, so 12 unit, 990. So we're all done. We put in all our numbers. We're doing high level because we don't know what the interior looks like. 1-1. Let's finish analysis. And based off what all the analysis, it's going to cash flow $651 a month. That's a pretty large complex that only cash flow $651 a month. I got properties almost doing that. Houses. So yeah, that as is, I wouldn't probably go any further because rehab's going to totally change that number and not make this probably ideal at all. But that's what this is for. This high level is to give an idea if I want to actually go see it in person. Uh, and I would not based off these numbers. But let's just take it a step further. Let's say this is a scenario where everything looks good. Now, the good thing about this bigger pockets is then now you can just share this and use this. Let's say enable report sharing, and let's download this. Then it'll give you a form you can utilize to a lender. It'll break down all the numbers, give you projections into the future, give you your cash on cash return, your NOIs, your DSCR scores. You'll see that on properties like this. You want typically 1 or higher. They like 1 or higher. Some will do below 1, but you want that shows a property's income making potential. That's what this score is very important. They like that 1 or higher is what you want to shoot for. And I use the 825 rent, but we can always raise rent. I don't know specifically what the 1-1s are getting in that area, but I would research that and get an idea if 825 is where it should be, or should it be higher. Then that changes the numbers, because you remember it's going to be multiplied. You raise the rent, it's going to be multiplied by 12, so that could be a significant income boost. And also reducing expenses can increase the income and change the numbers significantly. So, but yeah, I just want you to see this report. It gives you all this great information, and then you can email this report to a lender, and then it'll justify your request for money based off seeing this report. And then you can utilize that as another asset in your tool to help justify the loan you're trying to get. You don't have to come up with all this stuff in your head. It's all calculated for you right here. So I hope that my little brief overview has helped you. If you had any kind of mystery in analyzing a property on a basic level, hopefully this has been helpful, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks.